Today we are making a multigrain sandwich bread, and it is sourdough, and I made a test batch last night and I'm very glad that I did because it's a little tricky. It's very sticky and it's just a little hard to handle, but it's so yummy. I already tried it and I couldn't resist, and it is so yummy. It takes coconut oil and whole wheat flour, so it's really healthy. Okay, so I have the scale here and I have the bowl, and I zeroed out the scale using the tare button, and then I'm just going to add 50 grams of starter. And I have 300 grams of water. And I have 20 grams of honey. And by the way, the fact that the sourdough starter is floating actually means that it's ready. That's a good test. If you want to know if your sourdough starter is ready to use, you can drop a little bit in water, and if it floats, that means it's ready. So I'm going to add the honey, 20 grams. There we go. And then I'm going to add 45 grams of coconut oil, and thankfully it's a hot day, so it's actually kind of melted, so I don't have to melt it in the microwave. Okay, so now we're just going to stir that together. And it takes about 50 grams of whole wheat flour. And then 450 grams of bread flour. And last of all, 9 grams of salt. So you just want to mix it until it's combined. It's just going to look a bit rough and ugly and a little like shaggy, and it's always sticky, but you never want to add more flour than the recipe says. And we're going to cover this with a damp towel and let it rest for 30 minutes, and then we will come back and do some stretch and folds. So in sourdough bread with fillings, it's very common to soak them in water because the sourdough bread needs to have a lot of moisture, and if you put dry fillings into the dough, it will just suck all the moisture out of it. I have 70 grams of 10-grain hot cereal, and I bought this at Winco in the bulk section, so I'm just gonna pour that into the bowl. And then I'm gonna cover it with 240 grams of hot water. And Then before we do the stretching folds for the dough, we are going to drain the water, and then we will mix the grains into the dough. Okay, so now the dough has rested for 30 minutes, and I have the grains. I drained them, and we're gonna add them to the dough. See, this dough is a bit difficult to handle. It's a little sticky and a little wet, and so you just have to work with it and just keep working at it until the grains are fully combined. But it looks like it's about there. So I'm going to cover it with the damp towel again, and we're going to let it rest. And the recipe says that it will take 6 to 8 hours to rise at room temperature 70 degrees. But today it is much hotter than that. It's like upper 80s, 90 degrees. So I'm expecting it to rise much faster than that. So we'll see how long it takes. Okay guys, this is insane. It's 90 degrees and it's been like less than 3 hours and the dough has already doubled in size. So I'm gonna go ahead, it says to oil the counter rather than flour the counter because it's such a sticky dough. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add some oil to the counter. This feels very weird because I'm so used to doing flour. This dough is pretty tricky to work with. Getting all those grains into the dough is mixed into the dough. It's a little hard. Oh, now I did too much oil. Oh well. So you just press with your fingertips, sort of make it into a rectangle shape. It's actually nicer to work with this time than it was when I made the test loaf. So yeah, now you just let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. Oh, hang on. First I have to roll it into a log and then we'll let it rest. So you just like roll it up. Oh, this dough is one of the most unique I've ever worked with. Okay. Sort of tuck the ends in and let it sit. You can see it's really hard to work with because it's so slippery. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. I have a loaf pan here that I coated in some coconut oil, and I'm going to, it says to cup the dough in your hands and pull it toward you to tighten its shape. So this is going to be a little tricky, but I'm just going to put it into the loaf pan. Just like that. And then I'm going to cover it and let it rise for 1 to 2 hours. So it's already been like 1 or 2 hours, and this is not yet risen fully. It's supposed to be 1 inch above the rim of the pan, and as you can see, it's not even close. So this probably won't be ready for like another hour or two. And I'm just gonna show you what I did with the loaf that I already made. So once this loaf is fully risen, I would brush it with water and then just sprinkle on a handful of oats on the top like I did with this loaf, and then just bake it at 400 degrees for about 50 to 60 minutes, and that's it. Then you just cool it in the pan for 10 minutes and then take it out and cool completely. And I hope you can see like just how soft it is. It's just like a beautiful texture, and the grains add a really nice taste to the dough and the coconut oil. So I really enjoy the flavor of this. It's just delicious, and it's almost nutty in a way. It's just so good. And the outside is crunchy just enough to offset the softness of the middle. I just really enjoy this. I hope you have enjoyed this, as watching me make this as much as I have enjoyed eating it. So anyways, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!